I'm Larry from Backwater Motors.
And I'm Jake, and we're here to talk about our new Versa-Mounts. I'm holding the Versa-Mount built for the sneak lights.
And I'm holding the Versa-Mount that's built for the 13 to 23 swamp light, and also all the way up to 35 horsepower in our cage frames.
So Larry, why don't we go ahead and explain why somebody would want this Versa-Mount that's fully adjustable.
Okay, most of your newer boats have a 16-degree transom, and so this mount will bolt on at 16 degrees, and the top of the mount will be level, which is important so that we have our stop adjustment in the right spots. Because if this was a 12-degree transom and we put it on the boat, it would be up in the air, then the prop wouldn't be able to go as deep because it's not level. So that's the whole key of these transom mounts, is you want to keep them level.
Why don't you explain how this mount is adjustable, how that adjustment works in there?
Okay, so basically what happens is there's slots in the side, and you just can adjust the mount wherever you need to, and once you get it there, you can lock the two bolts down and it will stay. Once the transom mount is onto the boat, you can simply either drill, or we have 12 and 16 degrees pre-drilled into the inner shell of the transom mount.
So at that point then you'll have all three bolts holding this at whatever degree you need it to match your transom.
Correct.
So now this mount also mounts, is able to go inside of the boat. Why don't you explain how that works?
That's a good question. A lot of people have asked me why would you want to mount your motor on the inside of your boat. Number one reason would be if you have that type of boat that's not totally flat in the back, it might have let's say a 3-degree dead rise or a 6-degree dead rise. What happens is when the water leaves the back of that boat, it holds that shape, and that will basically part the water through the area where the prop is running. Oftentimes on those boats where the water comes off the corners of the boat, it will come to a point, and when it gets to that point, I call it the white water. That water has been aerated and it's lifting. So if your prop is in that area of the water, it won't perform. It'll always want to push the prop out of the water. So it just allows you another adjustment that you can take the mount and put it on the inside of the transom. You can still make the transom level, which is very important. Now you've just shortened your shaft up by 5 to 6 inches, which is oftentimes enough to get that prop into that good clean water.
Alrighty, well now that we've gone over why it's important to have this adjustable mount, let's show these guys how to put it onto the boat.
The first thing you want to do is measure the beam of your boat. In this case, we have a 58-inch beam, so we want to put a mark at 29 inches. Now, I like to use a carpenter square and go all the way across the top of your transom. And the reason for that is we have a template backplate that has a mark right on center, which allows you to install the plate to make sure that you get it right in the center. And then what you can do is take your square and get it exactly level to the top of the transom. Just double check that. Looks good. The next step will be to drill into the back of the transom of your boat. I like to use like a 5/16 bolts, go a step above into like a 21/64 drill bit. Normally what we like to do is we like to drill the 4 holes on the outside of the transom, and then rotate this to the inside and drill the inside holes separately, so that we're assured that the bolts are going through the transom at a perfect angle, which allows you to easily switch the mount from outboard to inboard. In this case, we're putting it on an all-well boat, so it has a very high center beam, so we're not able to put the template backplate on the inside of the transom, so I just made a real simple block using a piece of plastic. You can use a board or a piece of metal, and I just drilled it with my drill press to make sure that it was square into the plastic.
So let's go ahead and drill this on.
I like to install a bolt into the template so that we're sure that the template's not going to move during the next drill. Okay, so as you can see, all the bolts are installed with a little bit of play, which is good. Okay, now we can't install this plate on the inside like we normally would because of the high center brace. So in that situation, I recommend just keeping it on the outside for extra support. And we'll go ahead and stack that transom mount right on top of it.
So when we send out these transom mounts, we assemble them to the 16-degree mark because that's where most people are going to need them and use them. So this mount is ready to install.
We supply all the necessary hardware to install the mount. Now we have the all 4 bolts in. We put a washer on and then the lock nut. And before we continue, I just wanted to talk about another feature that we added into this mount. It's important to be able to swing the prop into your boat during transport. And in the case that you can't, let's say if you might have a 16-inch transom, but you've got really high sides, so the transom flares up and it doesn't allow you to swing the motor in, you're able to lift this transom mount up about 1.5 inches. And many times that's just enough that allows you to swing the prop into your boat. We recommend putting it down as low as you can for starters and adjust it as needed.
So we can go ahead and tighten these bolts up.
Once you get the bolts snugged up, we like to see that you torque them to, depending on the transom. If it's a solid transom, you might be able to get the standard torque out of a 5/16 bolt. It's 140 inch-pounds, but you have to see how it feels. Once the bolt starts sucking into the transom a little bit, I consider that tight enough. And just to make sure that you double check the bolts after a couple hours of run time and periodically, just to make sure it doesn't come loose.
And it is a good idea to make sure to put washers on the inside of your boat as well, especially if the backer plate is being installed on the outside of the boat. Now you can see we have our mount on level, and here we can show you why it's important that you have it level to get all your adjustments out of it. So there, now with it being level, your prop will drop plenty deep in the water, and there we'll show you how your stops are working. When you have it on level, what happens is each one of these pins should adjust your prop higher by about 5 degrees at each stop.
Now we just want to show you how the swivel in the boat feature, safety feature, works. See how the pin drops into the disc?
It's also going to lock one more time.
And that's for transport. From all of us at Backwater, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch the new Versa-Mount video.
Remember, if you ever need any more information, you can find out more at our website, www.backwaterinc.com. When you're there, feel free to drop us an email or call us directly. Thank you.